Good afternoon, class. So today is 18th of January, and we will have to cover the current affairs of today. So what is the first news that we have seen? In the last 2 days, there have been vaccination of approximately 2.24 lakh people across India. And out of this particular number, 447 people have developed adverse reaction to the vaccine. So all the efficacy results and all the things, I hope you remember everything about that. We have already studied about this. There are two things that are needed to be clarified. The first one is we have two vaccines in the market. The one is the Serum Institute of Vaccine, that is Covishield, and then we have a Bharat Biotech vaccine, that is the Covaxin. The Covaxin is currently undergoing the phase 3 trials, to which we do not have any form of data that is available who can suggest the efficacy of the particular data or how it could be implemented and what will be the results of it on the experimental basis. On the another hand, we have a Covishield vaccine. This Covishield vaccine have basically implemented under restricted use by the government direction, which is currently administered to the people. So there have been consequences on this part also, because it is a voluntary vaccine. Nobody is going to force you to, if you do not want this vaccine to be administered to you. So that's why there is a particular type of a divergence between the two. The first divergence is that people are reluctant basically to get the administration of the Bharat Biotech vaccine. So that is the one thing that the government have to do. So they are talking with the opposition parties also that they should not spread rumors. They will also talking with the trust building process among the people, that whether the people are currently following whatever the government is asking them to do. So these are some of the things that are related with it. However, when the initial phase of the vaccine is currently running, I hope you know these are currently provided to the frontline workers. Now, who constitutes the frontline worker? There are three categories of them. The first one are the healthcare workers, the ASHA worker related to the female health workers, the male health workers. Then you proceed to doctors. The second one are the sanitation workers. And the third one are the municipal workers. So the urban local bodies basically working in the disposal of the garbage and all other things, that is the hazardous waste and the biodegradable and the non-biodegradable waste. They are currently involved directly. So they will be the first one to be administered this particular vaccine. And as the results are coming in, the report was from the government point of view, they were hoping for a major participation, but as the sluggish growth has been reported back to the government is making efforts so that more people could be engaged and the trustworthiness of the government with respect to the vaccine could be ensured. So this was only the first article. I hope you remember. Please make notes of this, because the vaccine hesitancy is a word that is going to remain in people. And if there is a vaccine hesitancy among the people, the role of the vaccine will not be effective on a major part of the population. So that is the one thing that you need to be considerate about. So please make note of it. It will be very helpful in providing a better conciliation process or better solution to the vaccine hesitancy, or the people who are actually basically reluctant enough right now to not receive the dose, who are in the health sector also. We have seen one or two cases yesterday in which there were people who have said that we will not be using this particular vaccine because of the side effects. So there are side effects coming, and there is also news from Israel in which there are 23 people who have suffered a mild form of facial paralysis because of the administering of the vaccine, but that vaccine is different from our vaccine, so that's why it is not a major concern. We have seen some deaths in the nursing home in, I think, Denmark, where 23 people have died after the vaccine that was administered in the form of Pfizer. So people are more cautious about the administering of the vaccine. That is the one thing that you should know here. Now, moving on to the next lecture, it is the injecting confidence. So this is again related to the same thing, what the government should do, what should be the approach, and what should be the thing that the government should be hoping for. Now, please remember what was the scenario in the last year. In January last year, the first case of coronavirus was reported in India. Then it slowly increased up to the month of March. In the month of March, the complete lockdown was imposed approximately for 45 days. Afterwards, slowly opening of the schools and all other things were debated about. And after 1 year, we are standing at a particular place in which the vaccine is available, although it is under a type of a restricted use, but still we have a vaccine at our hand. Now, two things needed to be clear here. The first thing is, the vaccine that is currently available in the market has been undergone through the phase 3 trial. The second thing that you need to remember is basically that phase 3 trial for the Covaxin is still not available. That is, the efficacy of that particular vaccine has not been known to any people right now. So the vaccine that were developed in the developed countries, for example, Europe and USA, these vaccines were basically have established their efficacy in the long run. But the vaccine that is currently provided a licensate in India, that is probably the Covaxin, is not equivalently efficacious, or establishing the efficacy of that particular vaccine has not been done in the manner as it was used in the foreign countries. So that is the only concern. Nevertheless, the government have given it a go ahead because of the some internal findings, whatever the government agency or the ICMR have given it to. So we will have to trust this particular vaccine, because whatever may be the side effects, the common people will suffer from it, and we will have to minimize the side effect. However, there are some awards that are also announced by the Covishield company, who have said that if any person will develop adverse reaction to their vaccine, then they will be compensatedly equivalent to the uh, negative effects or the complications that they have received. So that is one of the things that you should remember. The next article is, yesterday I had told you about the economic stagnation with respect to the financial boom. So Sunanda Sen is a professor of JNU. Please understand, this article is very important with respect to the things that are happening in the financial sector and things that are happening in the real sector. So first of all, you need to understand what is a financial sector and what is a real sector. A financial sector is a one sector in which the bonds, the issues, the debenture, the forwards and the forwards and the futures are being traded, in which there is a speculation. So for example, let's say there is a particular company, again I will cite the same example, who is producing a juice in a particular section of a city. Now if that particular shop want to sell the juice from three other outlets, then it will go to the stock market, it will float its IPO, that is the initial public offering from the company point of view, in IPO in the market, in the hope that it will get further business and further investment. So there will be other people who will be looking at the prospect of this particular company. They will be hopeful that this company will make future better, or this company will basically make good profits for them. So they will invest in the share of that particular company. So that is how the speculation will work. The profit is yet not yours. The company is yet not yours, but you are speculating about the future, that in future, if you invest in this company will provide you good returns. For example, if any person today is holding a share of Mukesh Ambani that he had bought in the year 1980s when the Mukesh Ambani company was rising, he will be a very wealthy man. Why? Because even he have invested in Reliance, he have kept faith in Reliance that this particular company is going to grow, or going to grow exponentially in the near future. So he will increase his profits. Now that is the financial market. The second one is the real market. The real market is that market in which the people are going to work, they are going to earn money, they are going to spend, they are going to buy commodities, they are going to increase their consumption, and they are also going to seek some services from the sector that is available around them, whether it is public sector or whether it is private sector. Now the problem is, the real sector should work in consonance with the financial sector, because if a company is doing better in economy, it should also be doing better in the financial sector, because you are only speculating about companies that are going to do better. So in the time of COVID, when the real sector activity declined to minus 23.9%, I have told you 200 lakh crore is the total economy or total GDP of the country. Out of that, if you see 50 lakh crore that is coming in the first three quarters, so it depreciated by minus 23.7%. So that is 1/4 of the total money has been depreciated in the first quarter. So how the financial market should be acting? The financial market should be acting in the same manner. But what happened in the financial market, that the financial market have developed a divergence to the real sector. So the real sector growth was declining at minus 23.7%, but the financial sector growth was basically increasing or booming by approximately 8,000 Sensex point in the future. So I hope you remember, the financial market are generally measured on BSE and NSE. NSE stand for National Stock Exchange and BSE stand for Bombay Stock Exchange. In Bombay Stock Exchange, we basically take the top 30 companies, how their share values are increasing, and in the National Stock Exchange, we take 50 companies, how their value is increasing. So the top 50 companies and the top 30 countries, the share value as they are increasing, we take that into NSE. Now, this is the only thing that you should consider or you should learn in this particular part. So BSE and NSE are both showing growth with respect to the financial market. So what is happening? So Mrs. Sunanda Sen have given a proposal in which she is saying that as the real economy is not growing, so the investors are basically buying all the shares from the stock market. Why they are buying? Because they are hopeful that in the long run, the economy will return to normal. Once the coronavirus will recede, or once the vaccine will be available, the boom in the financial sector will reflect back to the real sector, in which the growth of the employment and growth of the all other things with respect to the employment, for example, the manufacturing activities, the services activities, will sooner or later increase. So that's why they are buying the shares whose prices according to the real sector should fall, but they are not falling, they are increasing in contravention to the effect of the real sector on the financial sector. So I hope this is clear. Now this is what has been happening because of the flow of finances. Now, the concerns that Sunanda Sen have raised about this particular issue is that this is the same thing that happened in the 2008 bubble, in which the stock market were rising and the employment and the other factors of the economy were decreasing. The consumption was not increasing, the gross capital formation was not increasing, the people were not getting employed, the unemployment rate was increasing, there was not much investment in the economy, nobody was going to invest in the sector. So these are some of the things that had happened. So this is the same dot-com bubble that we are currently looking at. She hopes that this is not a dot-com bubble and it will return to the normal, because we have already seen a comment by Reserve Bank of India governor, in which the Reserve Bank of India governor have categorically listed that we will have to look at the over subscription or over speculation of the particular bonds or the companies that we are seeing in the stock market. So that's why the overbalancing or the overstocking of the thing, that the overvaluation of the certain stocks of certain companies needed to be checked. This is what his allegation is. So the Reserve Bank of India believes that some companies have overvalued their share by personally buying themselves by taking low interest loans from the market. Okay, because it is easier for them. I hope you understand the whole spiral. There are bonds, there are shares that are issued on the initial public offering on the stock market. Some companies, what they do, if the interest rate are low, they will take these share back from the people to whom they have issued at a higher prices. Once they buy them at a higher prices, it will be cheaper for them. If the interest rates are low, they do not have to pay or do not have to shed a large amount of sum in buying back the shares. So these are some of the things that are needed to be understood here. Now, what could be the alternative policies and the caution that is needed to be provided? The first priority of the government should be prevent any form of catastrophe from happening, because if a catastrophe happens in the financial market and whole of the market slump into any form of disdain or any form of collapses, then that will actually lead to the individual investor losing a lot. And furthermore, if the individual investor lot, the effect on the job and all other sector will be huge. And that is the one thing that we need to avoid. So I hope this is clear. The next one is the rise of the shadow entrepreneurship. Now, what is this particular issue? I hope you have heard of gig economy. What is a gig economy and what are the issues with respect to the gig economy? First of all, what is a gig economy? Gig economy is basically a certain period contractual work for which you are getting paid, or basically you are a project-based job. Once the project is over or once the task is over, that is currently out of picture. The basic examples are Ola and Uber, or even the Airbnb are the most best example that are suited under the gig economy, in which you are paying or you are getting paid for a certain amount of work and you are not sure when the next work will come, or you are not sure at which amount it will come. This is what gig economy is. Now, the problem with respect to the shadow entrepreneurship is that the issue that I've highlighted here is that there are certain courses that are started by some of the institution and some of the people online, that they are providing certification for certain courses from certain universities and providing fake degrees and fake lectures to everybody by using this particular becoming an entrepreneur online. Now, for online entrepreneurship and online things, there is not a regulation check that is currently provided. You can simply start teaching from home, but how you will provide the certification, that is the one thing that you have. Now, nobody can stop you in teaching anything that you want to teach. You are free under Article 19 of the Constitution. So whatever you have a freedom to teach, you have a freedom to express your opinions and views. So that would be including under the Article 19(1) Section A. So you have a right to teach anybody, but you can issue the certificate, even the fake one. That is the right that is guaranteed by the universities. So there is a further scam that has been unfolded by a business school in which he have allotting a fake certificate to some of a major category of people who have been getting the fake certification after charging a huge amount of fees from the student. Now, why this is rising? The first question is why this particular thing is rising. So the thing is rising because of the demand and supply. I hope you remember, because of the COVID virus, the supply of the major education courses that are demanded by the people has been reduced. Why it has been reduced? Because you cannot go to attend the workshops, you cannot go to attend to the colleges, you cannot go to the institutes where they are currently happening. The second one is the demand. The demand increased because the people were free at home. They demanded even the skill upgradation in those particular time, if could happen, or if could it lead to the further enhancement of their career prospects, they hoped that this particular course will actually increase it. So there is a variation between demand and supply. And if there is a variation always between demand and supply, the economy of today's world is such that with respect to the modern technology, it is going to change in a blink of an eye. So in that background, these particular gig economy or certification courses have found their place and they are exploiting people. Now, this is not only limited to education sector. This has extended to the online loan that we have already talked about, or the online loan facility that was unearthed in the Andhra Pradesh, in which people who have taken a loan of 500 rupees were need to pay approximately 900 to 800 rupees. So that is a huge amount of interest. The financial sector that is regulated outside of the Reserve Bank of India purview. So they are keeping eye on that. Apart from that, there are other issues with respect to the telemedicines, the consultation that are being provided. They are also not regulated, that on which basis which doctor is actually consulting them and which of the doctors are providing the prescriptions on which manner. Then we have online platforms who are now telling you to learn coding. For example, Byju's is one of the platform that is, White Hat Junior is one of the platform that is teaching you coding. What are the standards of it? How they will teach? Because they are claiming that they can even make a 3 or 7th class student learn coding and then it will earn you money. So these are some of the disputes that are currently going on. I hope you remember this is the thing that is currently going on. And what is the way forward that we have to look for? We will first of all have to provide a regulation, a certification, a team needed to be constructed that can look at the all prospects with respect to the online services that are being offered by different companies regarding different aspects, whether it involves the tourism, the finance, the social service, or even the education sector, or even the medicine sector. So they all needed to be compiled into a same manner, and then a particular framework needed to be provided which can be amended. But I have already told you the problem with the gig economy is because the gig economy is working from the non-skill factor to the very skilled, highly skilled professionals. The basic example that I have given you is the sightseeing part. The sightseeing can be adopted by any non-skilled person, but if you want to enjoy a mountaineering course, you will need a highly skilled person because you are currently focusing on that particular person or currently relying on that particular person for with your life. So that is why the skilled and the highly skilled gig economy, it is very difficult to regulate. The labor code has also mentioned this, but it have not made any regulation with respect to the gig economy. So that are the two things that needed to be differentiated here. So I hope this is clear. Further moving on, the next one is the United Kingdom have invited Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the G7 summit. Please see which are the G7 countries, the Great Seven. I have already told you that when Mr. Trump was there, he have, I think, 2 or 3 months back, we had this discussion that Mr. Trump was suggesting that the G7 should be extended to G11, excluding Russia. It was earlier G8 because Russia occupied some territory in Crimea, so it went from G8 to G7, and it has stayed at G7 from that. Now, Boris Johnson was the chief guest of the Republic Day this year, but he have refused because of the situation at home, and in return he have invited the Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the G7 conference as a guest. There are other two persons, South Korea and Australia, who are invited as a chief guest to be presiding over the G7 summit. And two things you must remember: the Britain have formally exited from the European Union. What is the European Union? European was a custom union, European was a trade union, and European Union also was a common visa union. So these are the three properties of the European Union. Now, as they are exiting from it, so there is a basic hope for the Britain or the country of Britain to basically negotiate with each individual country, because earlier the European Parliament was negotiating with everybody with respect to the trade deal, what form of tariffs you should imply, what form of trade you should allow. But in this particular prospect, the European Union have exited. Now, as they have exited, the possibility or the role of the Britain increases manifold in establishing direct relations with respect to the trade and all other aspect of human movement here to there needed to be explored. So as they will explore this particular thing, so the cooperation with India is very important. That's why India has been invited. I hope this is clear. The next news is with respect to the 10% of the CSIR staff exposed to virus. This is a survey that is conducted by CSIR, that is the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. Now, there are 10,000 employees, 400 employees in the CSIR who have taken a nationwide zero prevalence survey in which 1,588 person have antibodies developed against SARS-CoV, and three-fourths of those who are surveyed, they did not experience any of the 9 associated symptoms. So that is one of the things. They have not received fever. One-fourth reported a loss of taste or smell. So that is currently happening. And then there are other person who have said that the seroprevalence was highest for the blood group type AB, and for B, O, and the lowest blood group for A. Now, this is a better way to conduct a survey. Now, please understand, there are many government agencies and many factories that are available in India. We have conducted survey from the government end, but we have not provided survey at the organization level. CSIR is an organization which have conducted the, actually this organization had all the information on its employees. So if you have information on the employees regarding the blood group, who smokes, who does not smoke, these kind of information, that can help you make a better plan for the understanding that what form of medicines or what form of vaccine will be administered to which kind of individuals. Now, this is the one thing that you should understand, that this particular survey may not be prevalent according to the data, but it gives a reflection or a parallel to be used in the another form of agencies. You can use the government department. For example, you have a health department, you can conduct a survey within the health department, because with the health department, all your data with respect to the height, whether you smoke or not, what type of blood group is, what are your preferences, whether you travel by public transport or whether you travel by buses, cars, or motorcycle or any other vehicle, what are the prevalence of you getting in contact with the people who have COVID, whether you live in a highly dense environment or highly a region where the density is very high, or whether you live in a region where the density is very low, how many people you are contacting within a day. So these are all these things that are available with the department, that is your local department. So if their local department is available over there, that is the organization setup that the government of India should be using. So I hope this is clear. The next one is the 8 more trains contact Kevadia. Now this is Statue of Unity that is located in Kevadia. 8 trains has been flagged off from here, and they are going to the Nizamuddin station. Nizamuddin station is located in Delhi. From Gujarat to Delhi, we have 8 trains now that are currently located. There is a footfall of approximately 50 lakh people on the Statue of Unity. And please remember, Statue of Unity was also declared as the seventh wonder of the Shanghai Corporation Organization. So there are 7 wonders of the SCO, and Statue of Unity is also one of the wonders. So I hope this is clear. Further moving on, the next news is related to the Biden ropes in 20 Indian Americans. So please read the name of these all American. Some of the people who are there, for example, Neera Tanden, who is a director of management and budget, very, very important. Dr. Vivek Murthy, who is tapped as the US Surgeon General. So these are the 2 persons who are the major. Then we have Anita Gupta, who has been appointed as the Associate Attorney General. So why this is significant? Because Indian American community is just only 1% of the total American population. There is a, I think, population of approximately 50. I forgot the total population, but I think 73 million is the 7 crore, 15 crore. 15 crore, I think near about that would be the population of USA. And in that 15 crore, approximately 1% of the population, that is even less than 1 crore people, are Indian American. And out of those 1 crore people, the 1% community that is currently in representing as Indian American in America have contributed about approximately 20 Indians, and they are 17 of them are in the key white positions. So that generally is the most prosperous community. And although allegations are put on the Indian community, but the Indian community working in USA has been working very efficiently for years. Indian people claim them their own, but I don't think that makes a much difference. Although the negotiation can be easy, you can establish relation easy, but I don't think that any difference it makes to the international or the strategic policy or any of the thing in negotiation with respect to the trade you want to achieve. Although there is a familiarity that how the Indians work, but the negotiations are currently on the merits, because these people are working for the American people now, and they are not working for the Indian people, although there is a familiarity. Okay, so I think that is it for today. Yeah, so that is it for today, and फिर कल मिलते हैं.